Howdy ho, guys and gals. Welcome back to the Den of Tools, and today we're talking about what's going on with Harbor Freight grinders. Yeah, there's been some weird stuff going on over there. They did some upgrades, then they took them away. Now they're back, and they're entirely different. It's kind of odd. So let's talk about what changes are going on over there, why they changed them, and which one you should be taking a look at. So back in the day, remember, we had the Central Machinery grinders. They weren't the best things out there, but they weren't expensive either. But, Harbor Freight, they started their upgrade system. It came out with the good, better, best. The Central Machinery went away, and we got Bauer and Hercules grinder, which is the Bauer's they're better. They're Goldilocks, middle of the road, and Hercules is their top of the line kind of stuff. And we got this, the Hercules grinder. I thought it was a fantastic grinder, honestly. It was almost 1 horsepower. It was variable speed. It had the gooseneck. It didn't quite perform quite at the level that I wanted to see for a full 1 horsepower. I think it was rated at 0.9, but it didn't quite come across as a 0.9 horsepower grinder. But other than that, it was a great grinder. And it came out, big fanfare, new grinders, this is the top of the line, it's variable speed, gooseneck, everything you want. And then it became clearance marked, and everyone was sitting there going, well, that's odd. This just came out. Why is it going away? And then recently, this launched, and this is the replacement. There's no variable speed. There's no gooseneck on it, but it is listed at a full 1 horsepower. And I reached out to my contacts over at Harbor Freight, and I said, "You got rid of all the bells and whistles and just stripped this down. Why?" And they said, "We weren't exactly pleased with this being a top of the line grinder. We wanted to be something akin to like the old school grinders. Like when I think of that, I think of something like the Daytons. I know Rockwell and a bunch of other ones had them, but when I saw a Dayton in a shop, I knew this was a serious workpiece. This thing, it was solid. It didn't have a light. In some cases, it didn't even have guards. You just flipped the switch and it just worked, and it would work for years and years and years. And they were like, "This is what we want the new grinder to be." Now, if you noticed, the old grinder now looks like the red Bauer grinder, and pretty much it's the same one. Not exactly. Maybe it is. This one's rated at 3/4 horsepower, and I don't know if it's got the exact same internals. I've heard some stories both ways from contacts over there. Could be that they just rated it lower because it wasn't producing at the 9 horsepower. I don't know. What I can tell you, though, is for a homeowner grade kind of grinder, this is a fantastic deal. In fact, I said the other one was a great deal before, but because it's basically the same as the Shop Fox. And I'm a huge fan of the Shop Fox. But, to be fair, if you're looking at if Bauer's supposed to be the prosumer home grade kind of stuff, and Hercules is supposed to be the pro, it kind of makes sense because in a pro shop, you may have like a full speed grinder, you may have a low speed grinder, you may have some belt grinders and a buffing wheel grinder and all sorts of stuff dedicated for each job. At home, you don't have that kind of luxury. I've got limited space, and it has to do several different jobs. So I need my high speed and my low speed all to be in the same box, and that's what this variable speed gets you here, coming in at $150. That's not a bad deal. But then that begs the question is this going to be the grinder of your dreams? Is it really going to be that? Well, we got it in the shop here. Let's go take a look at it real quick, and then we'll jump back, and we'll talk about it some more and some of the other stuff that's out there. All right, here we are with the Hercules. This is a big, beefy motor here. Look at it. The plate even stands up with a relief there. Really nice. Got the safety kind of thing. If you haven't seen these, this part here pops off, so you can't turn it on. Why don't you pop that in there? It's all set. These things are annoying as all heck. Harbor Freight, you should ditch this. Just put a bolt in there. There's so limited room here. It's such a pain. Here we got your shields up here. These are fine to install. Great. No problems with that. Now, when you turn these on for the first time, I suggest, and this is any kind of thing that spins really fast, stand out of the way. Let it spin up for about a minute. This is just the first time, or if you change the wheel, something like that, make sure there's no imbalances, nothing's gonna shatter, spin apart. These things spin really fast. No reason to get up close and personal until you're sure everything's safe. All right, looks like we're good. Let's make some sparks. So, safety cracks engaged. We got the old Cobalt here. I did a test on this years ago, cut it off here. And we're gonna try and make this, we're gonna try to round this off, make it into sort of a stubby. I'm gonna do it on this side here. Look at that. Do a little bit more. Let's see if we can bog it down. I don't think it wants to. I think it wants to keep going. All right. Not exactly perfect. Still a little bit, let's take off a little bit of that edge. They're shut down. Of course, this isn't hot at all at that amount of run time. Boy, that is smooth. All right, just want to step out here in the sunlight here. It's not perfect. I need more light over there to see what I'm doing, but it's definitely gonna be a lot easier on my hand. Had no problem going through that thing. All right, well, there you saw it. You be the judge. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I still think that for a homeowner, that you know, if you're serious about your grinders, this might be the grinder for you. I still think the best deal at Harbor Freight now is this Bauer with the variable speed, because, you know, I'm not a pro anymore. I'm not doing this for a living these days. And in fact, I never was a pro using a grinder. I was a carpenter doing rebuilding houses. I've run cable, I did IT kind of stuff and related things, but I never used a bench grinder professionally. So for me, this is more than enough for what I need. Now, maybe for you, you might have some different choices. Now, the other ones in the Bauer line, because the Bauer line's really fleshed out. We don't really have anything except for the one top line Hercules one. But the other grinders you can see in the Bauer line, we got this one at 150. It's top line homeowner grade. We call prosumer. Then we step down one, and we, again, 3/4 horsepower, gooseneck, just losing the variable speed. So this is just your straight go-to-it kind of grinder at $100. Then we also have this one, and I have this in the shop, and I did a video on these the other, it was a couple weeks, about a month ago maybe. Great, I was astonished by the amount of power that this 3/4 horsepower bench grinder has, and it's bench grinder belt sander. Now this is going to be, again, very niche kind of market. It's going to be a lot of people doing knife kind of stuff, sharpening. If you do a lot of sharpening, you want something great for sharpening your lawnmower blades and stuff like this, that belt is fantastic. Makes it super easy, nice flat with the platen behind it. Lets you really get in there and get a nice smooth edge on something. But a lot of people might not need this. At $170, it's a little bit more expensive. It's single speed, but again, really cool tool. But then if you're on a budget, they got you covered there, $55. You lose the gooseneck, and you get built-in LEDs, and it's hard to see, but in each one of these right here, there's a little LED light here. They got an image of it, and it's powered by batteries that are in there. I'm not a fan of this system. I'm going to be entirely honest. I am a fan of that price. That's the difference. You want the gooseneck, because this is a single speed. If you want the gooseneck on it, you're going to, jump up to, what was it, $100 on that? Yeah, I think so. Are you willing to pay $50 for the built-in gooseneck? Some people might, some people might not. Anyway, just keep that in consideration. Now, another one that's going away, thank goodness, is the old Central Machinery. This little thing, never been a fan of this. I know some of you, when I talked bad about it before, got really upset with me. Or like, I've had it, it's worked great. I cannot tell you the amount of people I've talked to, I've seen in person, I know who own this, and it just fell apart. It just doesn't last long. It doesn't perform. It's a great concept. I'm hoping they come out with a new version of it that is better than what this is and lasts longer, because that would be fantastic. I know a lot of people like it. All right. Now let's talk about some options here for stands. They've got two options. They redid this. They've got a new universal bench grinder stand. It's very sturdy. It's got the nice spread legs. Problem is with the grinder, a lot of times you want to get up in there on it, and those legs can get in the way. So then you're left with a version like this, which is pretty decent. One thing I would say, now this has got the cooling tray. You'll look at a lot of bench grinders, and they have that little tiny tray on the front for cooling. Those are absolutely ridiculous. Don't use them. Get yourself a can of corn, eat the corn, peel the paper off, keep water in it, or oil if you're doing if you're doing oil treatment, and just keep it next to the bench grinder, and do that. You do not need this little cooler. Maybe you do for a dedicated workstation. I totally get that. But for most of them, that's why I'm not an issue for me if these don't have them. Anyway, I go on that for years. The other thing is the foot pedal switch. Now, Harbor Freight's got two foot pedal switches. This is not the one you want. This is power maintained. So it's an on, stay on, stay off switch. You press it once and it stays on. Press it again, it turns off. That's something I think you honestly want in your bench grinder. I think what you want is a momentary switch. As long as it's depressed, it's working. So you step up, one foot goes on the pedal, spins up. You can work with two hands on the workpiece, which is great. And then if something goes wrong or you step away, it turns off. That's the great thing. Like you're sitting there, you're working, and you have to back away from the tool. As soon as you back away, it spins down. That's why I like the momentary switches. Anyway, let me know what you think. As you saw, the new Hercules, we've got it in the shop. We'll put it through its paces for the next year, see how it goes. It honestly, to me, it does feel solid. It feels like a workhorse of a bench grinder. The only question is, is it going to be around for years? And only time will tell on that. Let me know what you think. Harbor Freight's really stepped up with a lot of their stuff. I know there's still a lot of haters out there who still try to talk about how terrible the tools are. Then you ask them which ones they have, and they're like, well, I don't have any because I don't shop at Harbor Freight. Yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think down below. You all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on.